CK scheduling update. Some of you guys may know with the registration consolidation under FSMB, this affects IMGs mostly. You need your ECFMG certification eligibility and to sign in and register to your FSMB registration portal. Scheduling workflow step-by-step starts with verifying eligibility. Before you can even begin any of these steps in terms of ECFMG certification via My Health, you need to set up a meeting with Dr. Fernandez via exam administration. And this is after you finish your core rotations. And depending on your performance during your core rotations, it also determines your eligibility to sit for comp. And you'll have a meeting with Dr. Fernandez or somebody else on exam administration that will approve you to even start registering for your ECFMG and your comp. So registration will be, of course, through FSMB portal. You will complete your application and payment, and then you'll receive your scheduling permit issued by NBME. Important dates and appointments for January 8th through 11th, 2026, portal transition outage, and then January 12th through 2026, FSMB portal becomes official. Managing your appointment is done through Prometric, and of course fees occur 45 days before your exam if you want to change your scheduling date or move it up. Extensions requested via FSMB portal, prior applications automatically transferred. And that's if you made an account or you registered for the exam before they transition to the FSMB. Moving on to the fourth year SOAP and match. So the core focus during this time would be exams and residency. Application timeline includes comp, electives, and step 2C scheduling. I know a lot of times when you're in your fourth year, these things can almost blend into each other. So it really depends on how you prioritize your schedule and what is next for you. But of course, we're all going to end up at the same place in terms of ERAS residency application and interviews and rank order list and SOAP and match in March. So ERAS applications open up in September, and I think we submit by the end of September, latest beginning of October, and then interviews start. Comp, it is a requirement for graduation. You must take a 5-hour NBME integrating step 2 CK concepts, must pass with a 220 or higher. If you don't pass, you must retake the exam before you can sign up for step 2 CK. I'm pretty sure that is a 60-day, my apologies, window, correct me if I'm wrong, between each failed attempt for comp. Scores will be released 1 week after each testing window, usually on a Friday. After you pass this exam, you will receive an email from the school for a link to sign up for Step 2 CK and ECFMG certification. Okay, after cores are completed, schedule a meeting with your OCA advisor. This will guide you on your timeline and specific elective requirements that you need to complete for your desired field that also satisfy graduation requirements. You can schedule your electives in affiliate or non-affiliate sites. You can go to MyRoss, clinical scheduling, filter out dates or electives, and then choose electives. When you drop an elective, it still takes about 24 hours in order for that drop to be approved and you signing up for another one. For non-affiliate, you must speak with coordinators at the non-affiliate site or apply into the rotation and submit a request for non-affiliate rotations. You must wait for your response, and once approved, you can have it scheduled. And also just keeping in mind that Ross still does not participate in VSLO, and a lot of schools in the US have transitioned to that. Unfortunately, that is a disadvantage for us, but just keep that in mind when you are reaching out to programs. Some programs are still willing to work with you. It's more just about you asking the right questions. And moving on.
Hi guys, my name is Trevina. I'm also a fourth year. So I'm Canadian, and I decided to talk about the going through the Canadian elective rotations as well. Just because it's kind of a complicated process, and there's not a lot of guidance out there from Ross. So a lot of this was kind of figure it out as you go. So all Canadian electives are scheduled through the AFMC portal if you're interested. The first step for everyone is to complete a homeschool verification form. And that's basically where you just submit saying, hey, I go to Ross. And then Ross will get that form, they'll verify it, send it back to AFMC, and then you can move on from there. Okay, next slide. So, how the process usually goes is once you're verified, or even prior to that, you can browse on the AFMC website the different universities um, and when their timelines are for that month you're applying for. Different universities will open up at different times. So you can read through their different eligibility requirements. Some schools will require you to have a letter of good standing. Some schools will require you to just have other letters of recommendation. Some schools will just need um, your immunization form. So it all depends. And then from there, you can register and complete your student profile and upload your personal information. And then you can upload all those different requirements that that school requires of you. You can browse through the different programs, pick the program you want when the eligibility dates open, and then from there you can apply to the different specialties you're interested in. I will just say that this can be a bit of a costly experience to register for the AFMC portal as an IMG. There is a one-time fee of about $700, and then from there to apply to each program, it varies from school to school, and then you also have to pay to accept the rotation. So just keep that in mind. And if any of you are interested and you have further questions, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. Okay, next slide. So going back to step 2, this is also a bit of a costly experience, but unfortunately we all have to go through it. The price for that is also around $700, $695. For ECFMG certification, make sure you use the same email you used in step 1 because the accounts merge. The ideal completion time would be between June to August, so before the ERA submission in around September. Or if you're off cycle, you can do it anytime before the next cycle opens. So just think ahead. Plan to take step 2 in a timely manner before the next cycle starts. So scores release around 2 to 4 weeks after you take your exam. It kind of depends, honestly. And score averages vary from different specialties, like what's kind of recommended. But when you have your meeting with your advisor, they'll give you a bit of guidance on that as well. And since step 1 is pass fail, unfortunately, step 2 is a little bit more heavily weighted now. And then after applying, it's not recommended to send in your step 2 CK scores during the cycle as it may delay interview offers. So just some advice for fourth year overall. It's really important that you take step 2 early and seriously. Um, and from that, I will also recommend that if you're able to plan your electives around when you want to take step 2, I know sometimes it's out of our hands, but that would kind of be very helpful if you have a bit of a lighter rotation or can take a little bit of a break if you need it. Make sure you get strong letters of recommendation from core rotations or even elective rotations if you're able to. Um, Apply early and broadly, especially as IMGs. Stay organized with the different deadlines and all the things we have to complete, and have a SOAP backup plan. And when you have your meeting with your advisor, they can also give you some guidance on that as well. And also, your journey is unique. You're a unique student, so try not to compare yourself with other people as as I know we all tend to do sometimes, but you don't know what's going on in someone's personal life, so you got this. So, to build your residency program list, it can kind of feel impossible to know where to start, but some tools that are pretty helpful are Frida and Residency Explorer tools. So, things to consider are the location you want to spend the next 3 to 5 years. Is the program IMG friendly? What's the board pass rate? And if you're not a US citizen, do they offer visas? What's that situation like? Um, some other things to consider are community versus academic program and weigh out what's more important to you. Apply broadly as an IMG and have realistic reach and safety programs. It's highly recommended to create a spreadsheet with programs you are interested in, are a good contender for, and other relevant information.
Okay. Hi guys. Oh, sorry. Don't know what happened. Okay. My name is Chandni. I am part of CSGA External Operations, and today I'm going to be talking about everything after when you take step 2 CK, what you should be looking for, what's the timeline of specific applications, and then going kind of far in advance to like SOAP and match. So now let's kind of talk about the timeline. We talked about step 2 CK, and ideally you would want to get step 2 CK done within the or before the next application cycle, which is around September. Ideally it's best to take it like maybe around I would say like May to August or something around that time so that you're not directly taking the exam while you're applying. So after you're done with taking step 2 CK and you get your scores back, um, in September, there is an application called the ERAS application. And so ERAS application, it does open in June, but basically the deadline will be around September. And once the ERAS application opens, you can basically send in personal information, experiences, support documents, personal statement, experiences, certifications, publications, letter of recommendations, transcripts, and also your step 2 CK scores. So we talked also a little bit about the ECFMG certification, which you have to do prior to taking step 2 CK. So once step 2 CK is done, you will get a residency token from ECFMG, and that token will be used to then give you access to the ERAS application portal, and that's where you can submit everything that we talked about. Okay, the one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit further is the ERAS application. Pretty much you can apply through that application for like specific specialties. But if you're looking for specialties like EM or OB-GYN, there is a portal, a different portal that you have to apply through. So for the 2025 to 2026 application cycle, OB-GYN and EM have transitioned away from the traditional ERAS, and now there is a new portal known as the Residency Centralized Application Service, or Residency CAS. So this portal will allow these applicants to basically apply with the same sort of documents like letters of recommendation, and it will be great for programs to basically holistically view the student or the applicant. So here are some of the components of the residency CAS application system. So there are 7 additional background domains, including research, work experience, community service, teaching, mentoring, and other relevant experiences. Letters-wise, recommends at least one OB-GYN or specific standard letter of evaluation. And then signals will be the implemented 2-tiered signaling to reduce over-application. And the deadline for the residency CAS would be in September, and then the interviews would start no later than November 1st. So here are just some important tips for IMGs. So for us, so you cannot self-register on residency CAS. Unlike ERAS, applicants cannot independently create a CAS account. For many US and MD, US MD or DO students, the access link is issued by medical school or the dean's office, but for us, the access link would be provided through ECFMG. And without this link, you cannot apply for a residency CAS account or apply for EM or OB-GYN residency programs. So it's recommended that IMGs should request access early, and it can, as delays can affect the residency timeline, including getting interviews, and possibly it can affect your match. So I talked a little bit about the standardized letter of evaluation, also known as SLOE. So this is a structured evaluation tool that is designed to compare applicants objectively across institutions. So one thing that is like highly, highly recommended that you do, especially if you are thinking about applying emergency medicine or OB-GYN or any other specialty that doesn't use the ERAS platform, talk to your Office of a Career Advisor about the portal and also the standardized letter of evaluation during the match action plan meeting. And the match action plan meeting usually takes place once you are kind of done with like your third year and you're kind of starting into your fourth year. You can do that match action plan meeting to really see what are the things you need to accomplish before you apply the next cycle. So the Office of Career Advisor will also contact you and will help you set up the match action plan. So just a few more things about the ERAS application. So you can start applying into programs on September 3rd. Remember, as you're doing rotations, you are being evaluated by your preceptors, and your preceptors, whatever comments they give you will basically be included in something called the Medical Student Performance Evaluation. So if you're starting to apply into these programs, make sure that you contact Ross for the MSPE so that they can submit it, right, by September 16th, and it can be available by September 24th. So the application submission deadline, there's a lot of different deadlines that are kind of being thrown around, but what I've heard and what I've seen is that the soft deadline is around like September 24th. So aim to get all of the materials and application materials submitted by this deadline. And one other thing that people or other applicants may forget is applying for the NRMP match. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but make sure you have that in mind to apply for the match registration by September 15th. So after you are done with your ERAS application or residency CAS, you will start to get interviews. And so the residency interviews can be either virtual or in-person interviews. I've seen a lot of the interviews they're a little bit more virtual now, but there are a few sites that prefer in-person. So you would want to be very prepared for these interviews. They may ask you questions such as, why do you want to be in this specialty? Why do you want to be in this program? So make sure you have a well-rounded response for these questions. Know your application thoroughly. A lot of the times, if there's gaps in your application, they will ask you questions about that. A good example would be if you did not apply, for example, like if you didn't apply during the application cycle that you were supposed to apply, and let's say you apply to the next application cycle, they may ask you, why didn't you apply to the previous application cycle? So just really know what to say and how to make a very good impression of yourself. You can send thank you emails if appropriate, and make sure you track impressions after each interview. If you see that a program really interests you location-wise and they have a lot of benefits, and the person who interviewed you seems very interested in you, make sure you just have that in the top of your head, so that way once you're assembling like your rank order list or you're trying to see which programs are best for you, you can evaluate it then. Okay, so going back to the NRMP, so the NRMP is the National Resident Matching Program. So basically, this is a portal where both applicants and specific programs can make something called a rank order list. So applicants can rank the programs that they are most interested in to what they're least interested in. And the programs will sort of be doing the same thing with applicants. So there'll be a mathematical algorithm that will be used to take those preferred rank choices and create matches. The match will favor mainly the applicant's preference, and the deadline will be by late February. So it's ideally you want to submit the NRMP as soon as possible, but if you forget for some reason, the deadline to apply for this is late February. So just keep that in mind. So this is a infographic that I got from the Match website. So it just gives you a little bit of an overview of what we already talked about, how to register for NRMP, and then what rank order lists are, and then how it matches basically program preferences and applicant preferences with an algorithm, and then the match results will end up coming and you'll be able to see where you matched. Okay, so this is where I want to just slow down a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about match week details and what are some of the scenarios that can happen. So Monday of match week, and this is in March. I would say I believe like second week of March, but the Monday of match week, you basically will be learning if you have been matched, but you won't know where you have matched yet. So you're going to learn if you've been matched, but not where. Also, if you are partially unmatched or you're completely unmatched, you will be eligible to participate in something called SOAP. And we're going to talk a little bit about SOAP after. But basically, there will be a SOAP eligibility notification that will pop up on the NRMP portal, and it will be sent to your email. So at this point, especially if you are partially unmatched or unmatched, you can also you can access the list of unfilled programs in the NRMP portal system. And once you discover whether you have been partially unmatched or unmatched, you can submit SOAP applications through the ERAS portal. And you are able to apply up to 45 programs. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what SOAP is. So SOAP is Supplemental Offer and Acceptance Program. So what we kind of talked about it already as to what it is. Basically, it's a program for unmatched applicants to fulfill positions in unmatched spots for programs. So one of the biggest requirements is that you have to be NRMP registered in order to qualify for this. And in a nutshell, what will end up happening is that there will be 4 rounds of rapid fire interviews that last 2 hours, and unmatched applicants can basically they can be interviewed in a rapid fire fashion to accept or reject any offers that are given that are basically part of unfulfilled positions. So this will occur during match week, but it's not going to occur during that Monday. It will occur, during like the Thursday of match week. So here's just a really nice infographic that Ihotu actually made this, and it's really, really nice. It's a good breakdown of what is SOAP and what are some of the things that you have to know about SOAP prior to participating in it. So this will be available for you guys just for your reference, but we already went through this, so I'm just going to skip over this. Okay, so going back to the timeline of match week, we already talked about Monday, where you'll kind of learn if you matched or not, and then if you're partially unmatched or unmatched, you'll also know. Now, when it comes to Tuesday of match week, if you are partially unmatched or you're unmatched, this is when the SOAP notification will sort of pop up, and programs can contact applicants. So a lot of the times, you would have to applicants would have to wait until the SOAP day to participate in interviews and get contacted. But sometimes what will happen is that programs that have unfulfilled positions may contact applicants by email or phone, just to let them know that there are specific positions that are open. And applicants cannot contact the programs. the programs will contact them. Okay, so now moving on to Thursday of match week. So this is the day where the SOAP really takes place. So we have formal rounds that will happen Thursday of match week. Either there's 4 different timings. There's 9 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. EST. And during that time, during those 4 different time periods, each time period will have 2-hour interview blocks, and specific programs will be at specific interview blocks, and they'll have your applications pulled up. And basically, they'll do rapid fire interviews at this time. And then once you're done, the program will extend an offer to you. So like all offers can be extended at the beginning of the round, where either you can accept, you can reject, or you can let the offer expire through the NRMP R3 system. And so if you're the applicant and you want to accept an offer, just know that it is a binding offer. So once you accept, you've pretty much accepted the offer, and it's going to stay there. And the final offer will end at 8 p.m. EST on Thursday, and then the SOAP will conclude at 9 p.m. EST on Thursday. And then a list of the unfilled programs are updated that did not participate in SOAP. So now going on to Friday of match week. So Friday is match day, and you get to learn where you matched, and you get to celebrate your achievement. So this is essentially what the timeline looks like, starting from step 2, going on to residency, going on to SOAP and match. And this is another really nice infographic that Ihotu made. This is a little bit more of a general infographic that will kind of tell you what you should expect during 4th year, and what to sort of look out for, especially when it comes to taking exams and also preparing for residency. Okay.